Welcome to Turkish Series TV. There's a question I'm often asked: do I need 100 episodes to fall in love with a Turkish story? The answer is no. And the years 2023, 2024, and 2025 proved it better than ever. Today, I bring you 10 Turkish miniseries with English subtitles that prove emotion, drama, and life-changing characters don't need entire seasons to make an impact. Before we begin the video, it would help me greatly if you took a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your kind support. Number 10. Shahmaran. Watch out for this series because Shahmaran from 2023 and 2024 is probably the Turkish miniseries on Netflix that reached farthest internationally and the one that proved Turkish drama can bet on fantasy without losing its essence. Shahmaran is the queen of serpents, a figure from Anatolian mythology who has been hidden from the human world for centuries. Sasu is a young folklore researcher who travels to Adana to study that myth and ends up discovering it is far more than a legend. When her destiny intertwines with Maran's, the heir to that supernatural lineage, what begins as academic research becomes a story of forbidden love between two worlds that should never touch. The series uses Anatolian mythology as a metaphor for identity, family legacy, and the pressure of being who lineage expects you to be, even if that means giving up everything one has built. This Netflix Turkey production has an artistic direction that far surpasses the platform's average. Adana and its landscapes function as a character in their own right. The performances of Serenay Sarıkaya and Burak Deniz give the story a genuine emotional dimension that is difficult to replicate. The honest critique. The second season does not reach the narrative height of the first. The introduction of new characters and storylines diluted the emotional focus of the original story. That drop in quality between seasons disappointed me, but the first season is a gem worth discovering. 200 million people can't be wrong. Number 9. Rue. Despite a promising start that shook the Turkish digital drama scene, Rue from 2024 is a production that dares to go where Turkish open television could never. To genuine love between two people the entire world decides shouldn't be together. Reyhan is 38 years old, owns a restaurant bearing her name on the Aegean coast, has a crumbling marriage, and the certainty that life has slipped through her fingers. Uzer is 18, has limitless energy, and a way of seeing the world that hasn't yet been crushed by convention. When their paths cross in that coastal town, what begins as a chance encounter becomes a love that neither sought and both are incapable of ignoring. 20 years separate them. The gaze of everyone around them condemns them. And yet, the connection between them has an authenticity that few Turkish dramas have managed to capture. Meryem Uzerli returns with a performance that reminds you why she is one of the greats of contemporary Turkish drama. The Aegean cinematography is stunning, and the series has a narrative maturity that linear television rarely allows itself. The honest critique. The series loses consistency in its final episodes in a very noticeable way. The script abandons the depth it carefully built to rush toward an ending that many felt forced. That resolution frustrated me personally, but the first 4 episodes are absolutely irresistible. I leave that with you. Number 8. Letters from the Past. I'm not gonna lie to you, this one hit me hard. Letters from the Past from 2025 is one of those Netflix miniseries that arrives without much fanfare and catches you completely off guard with its emotional depth. In 2003, a literature teacher at a private school in Istanbul asked her literary club students something unusual: to write a letter to themselves, sealed, to be delivered 20 years later. What nobody could foresee is that these letters, when they finally reach their destinations 2 decades later, trigger a chain of revelations that shakes everything. Elif discovers her mother hid an enormous secret from her. The bonds between former classmates reactivate with a force that time couldn't erase. The truths that adults decided to silence resurface with a quiet violence that nobody expected. This O3 media production for Netflix has the narrative intelligence of those who know that interwoven time, past and present simultaneously, is the perfect tool for this story. The cast led by Gökçe Bahadır and Onur Tuna does the rest. The honest critique. The series requires patience in its early episodes. The measured pace and the multiplicity of characters can feel confusing at first. I myself took time to connect with all the threads. But from the 3rd episode onward, the story settles and the accumulated emotion becomes irresistible. That can't be faked. Number 7. Nothing Happens to Us. Listen to me carefully. Nothing Happens to Us from 2026 arrives on Disney Plus with the full weight of two of the most recognized faces of Turkish digital drama, and from the very first episode, it makes clear that this is exactly the kind of story platforms tell better than open television. Lal is a book editor, organized, intelligent, with a life built on responsibility and order. Aktan runs a renowned theater in the city and lives with the freedom of someone who has never allowed rules to define him. They are exact opposites. And that difference, instead of separating them, makes them the most explosive and most inevitable combination of the season. From the moment their worlds collide at a party, neither can ignore what begins to grow between them, even though everything else in their lives suggests they should stay apart. Their romance begins like a fairy tale and ends up complicating itself in ways neither anticipated. This MF Yapım production bears the signature of screenwriter Pinar Bulut, responsible for series such as Ezel. That shows in the depth of the dialogues and the emotional solidity of the main characters. The honest critique, being so recent, I cannot yet evaluate its complete arc, but the early episodes have an energy and a chemistry between protagonists that makes it very hard to stop watching. If you stick with it from the beginning, what comes next is worth everything. Number 6. Istanbul Encyclopedia. I'm not gonna lie to you, this one hit me hard. Istanbul Encyclopedia from 2025 is one of those miniseries you didn't expect to sink in so deeply, but that once inside doesn't let you go until the last chapter. Zara arrived in Istanbul from a small town with her faith intact, her conservative customs, and the most wide-open eyes in the world. Nesrin has spent decades in that same city and has equally wanted to escape it for a long time. One wants to stay, the other wants to leave. Both have something in common, a story between their mothers that neither knows completely yet. When Zara comes to live with Nesrin, the clash is not just generational or cultural. It's a collision of worldviews, of what it means to be a woman, of what it means to belong to a place or an identity. Istanbul, that city that has witnessed entire civilizations fall and rise, is the perfect setting for a story about the search for self. This Netflix production, directed by award-winning filmmaker Selman Nakar, has a narrative and visual delicacy that completely sets it apart from mainstream Turkish production. Each 45-minute episode feels like a well-crafted short story. The honest critique, the measured pace, and the absence of high-voltage conflicts can discourage those looking for immediate excitement. It's a series that demands contemplation, not action. I myself took time to find its rhythm, but once inside its world, it's impossible to leave. 200 million people can't be wrong. Number 5. Black Beret. I think we all know that Turkish war drama has a very specific standard, and Black Beret from 2025 breaks that mold in a way I rarely see. This Tabi production isn't content with showing explosions. It wants you to understand the men inside the tanks. 4 tank operators, a mission that goes wrong, a destroyed bridge that leaves them isolated in enemy territory, without support, without reinforcements, with a decision that no military manual can resolve. The series follows Volkan, a tank commander with deep traumas and a thirst for revenge he carries inside, without knowing exactly who to direct it against. At his side, a military psychologist Nilgun, who tries to keep the group's sanity intact while battlefield pressure consumes each man in different ways. The fictional Saysur Sankak operation serves as the backdrop for a genuinely honest reflection on the psychological cost of war. The production is impressive. 80 real tanks, authentic military helicopters, locations in Gaziantep that give the show an authenticity rarely seen in Turkish television. The honest critique, the romance between Volkan and Nilgun feels rushed and occasionally breaks the war drama tone that the series builds. I found it unnecessary in some episodes. The war drama works on its own. The romantic addition weakens it rather than enriching it. That said, when Black Beret focuses on what it does well, it is absolutely irresistible. I finished it in 3 days. Now you know. Number 4. Portrait of a Scandalous Family. You know what's the worst part? That Portrait of a Scandalous Family, premiering in late 2024 on Now TV, is the kind of production that makes you wonder why Turkish television doesn't make more historical dramas of this caliber. This is not an invented story. It's the naked truth of the Shakir Pasha family, one of the most extraordinary families of the late Ottoman Empire. It all begins in 1911 when Shakir Pasha, a retired commander and historian, lives on Buyukata with his family. The return of his son Savat from Oxford with an Italian wife unleashes a chain of events that nobody could have predicted. The daughter-in-law falls in love with the father-in-law. The scandal shatters the family, and from that destruction, something extraordinary is born. Because Savat becomes the writer Halikarnas Balıkçısı, one of the most beloved voices in Turkish literature. His sisters Farol Nisa and Aliye become pioneers of modern Turkish art. From family, shame, and ruin, an artistic legacy arises that would last for decades. This Medyapum production has extraordinary cinematography and a cast that fully commits to the weight of the real story they're telling. The honest critique. The pace of some episodes feels slow, and the series occasionally privileges atmosphere over dramatic action. I myself got lost in certain passages of the central plot. For viewers accustomed to high-voltage drama, this production can feel distant. But if you have patience, the ending of this story will leave you speechless. Number 3. Antalya Gambit. Pay close attention, because Antalya Gambit from 2025 is the Turkish government's second bet on the 2 to 3 minute episode miniseries format, and this time with a twist I didn't see coming at all: art espionage disguised as Mediterranean romance. Lara is a renowned art curator. Denise is an enigmatic and mysterious architect. They meet on the beach of a luxury resort when Lara saves Denise's life. What seems to be the beginning of a cinematographically perfect love story, with the Turkish coast as the setting and the Mediterranean as witness, turns out to be something completely different. Because both Lara and Denise hide secrets that change everything, the two are actually international art thieves chasing the same objective, an invaluable painting about to be auctioned at that same hotel. The romance becomes a game of cat and mouse, of seduction and deception, through the ancient ruins of Purge, hidden coves, and the dazzling nights of Antalya. Each episode is a visual poem to the Turkish Riviera. The cinematography is impeccable, and both protagonists have a screen presence that compensates for the brevity of the format. The honest critique. The espionage narrative is too superficial for the available time. The script twists are predictable, and some moments feel more like a tourist ad than genuine drama. It bored me in one specific episode, but if you're looking for something short, visually stunning, and perfectly entertaining, Antalya Gambit delivers. A recommendation without question. Number 2. Room for Two. This series was officially canceled on Now TV, and believe me, it hurts to say so, because Room for Two from 2025 was exactly the kind of Turkish summer we hadn't seen in years. Bright, light, and with a chemistry between protagonists that genuinely put a smile on your face. Nilüfer grew up dreaming of working at the Lutetia Hotel, that majestic hotel her parents built before they died and that she was never able to call home. While patiently working toward that dream, life throws Kaan directly in her path. Kaan is the hotel heir who returns after years away with a single purpose: to wrest control from Sivil, his domineering half-sister who has ruled the Lutetia as if it were her own. The problem is that Kaan and Nilüfer clash from the very first second. They're exactly the kind of characters Turkish drama does best: the cold calculator hiding a heart, and the free-spirited girl who won't accept being ignored. This Now TV production had all the ingredients of the perfect summer drama: the atmosphere, the photography, the involuntary humor of its mistaken identity situations. The honest critique: the cancellation was abrupt, and it shows. The final episodes resolve in hours what deserved weeks of development. Secondary relationships are left without closure. That rushed resolution frustrated me enormously, but if you're looking for something fresh, without deaths, and without mafias, this production is an incomplete gem worth discovering. I leave that with you. Number 1. Istanbul, My Love. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that Istanbul, My Love from 2025 is not what most people would expect from a Turkish miniseries. There's no cast of 40 people, no telenovela twists, no 2-hour episodes, and yet I myself was completely captivated by it. 10 chapters of approximately 3 minutes each, a Turkish government tourism campaign turned into something that completely transcends its promotional function. Istanbul is the name of the protagonist, an entrepreneur who believes that even love can be programmed with artificial intelligence. Her algorithm, designed to solve the most complex problems of human life, now has a new challenge: to find true love for Tan, a successful and emotionally guarded businessman, in exactly 3 dates. If she succeeds, he funds her startup. If not, her dream vanishes. What begins as a cold, controlled experiment becomes an emotional journey through the most cinematic city in the world, where the Bosphorus, the Karakoy docks, and the lights of Galataport act as silent witnesses to what happens when logic and feeling face each other head-on. The honest critique: because the episodes are so short, the emotional depth is inevitably limited. The story can't develop its characters as much as it deserves. I was left wanting more from every scene. But that, paradoxically, is also its greatest merit, leaving you hungry for more. That can't be faked. And so, we conclude this journey through 10 miniseries that prove Turkish drama doesn't need 100 episodes to leave you breathless. Short, intense, and absolutely memorable. Which of these 10 have you already seen, or which sparked your curiosity the most? Tell me in the comments. I love reading what you think. If you enjoyed the video, a like and sharing, it always helps more people discover these productions. Until next time.